Bike Safety Podcast with Vance and Bart.
It's a trap. There's no comfort fitting in a fake safety that no one believes in.
For all you guys on the left who thinks that we're just apologists for corporations, this episode is going to blow it out of the water. We're going to tie government to corporations. What do you think about that, Bart?
Well, Vance, I'd actually like to speak to the folks on the right as well, because they also have misconceptions about us. For all of you folks who think that we're just about growing the state and we're just about social issues, those aren't small businesses. Those aren't local businesses that need saving. These are corporate companies who are in bed with the government. So if we're going to find the common enemy, it's going to be in the state-influenced, corporate-executed propaganda. Propaganda has changed, right? Propaganda has changed and permutated to where it's not just something where some person in the back room of a government building is making a poster to try and get people to join the military.
Well, we're not communists, right? We're corporatists now today. I mean,
Right.
if you want to call America a republic or a democrat country, that's just tradition. We are a corporatist nation. So what are we using to propagandize our children? We're using sales techniques. We've been using them for years. Go to any sales training, you'll see it. In fact, I think that maybe in the near future, we'll teach a class on how to propagandize using sales techniques, because the one thing we have going for us, I think both Bart and I have been in the sales side of things before in our corporate careers.
We have indeed both been in sales and marketing and could talk about revenue funnels all day long. And that's where the nuanced bit of this conversation comes in. We're not here to claim that every person here who makes an ad is some government puppet who has been told what to write and what to release. It's in fact even worse than that, in that they are led and conditioned and incentivized to create things that they don't even realize are pushing an agenda. And that is quite dangerous, because we'll look through a few ads today that unfortunately are not meant to sell any sort of product or service, but are in fact signaling of virtue and then selling a product and a service as a secondary goal.
Yeah, a little side note. Oh, we also sell something that you're going to have to use to follow this regulation. So, I mean, I think we should just get into it. I mean, this topic here just brings anger and heat to my soul. I hate state propaganda. I hate the sales techniques that are used. I hate them when they're used on me to sell legitimate products. So when they're used on me to sell me something that I already work 5 months of the year for, it just pisses me off beyond belief.
Yeah. Do you want
And
to start with Tiffany? We'll start with Meet Tiffany because in the news, just to try and be topical here, we know Uncle Jeff just went up into space.
yeah, and everybody hates him for it, for like advancing technology, and they're actually doing something. So, I'll back him up there. I mean, he has a lot of nefarious ways of getting his money. They got him there, and I'll fight those till the day I die. But advancing technology, I'll back that for sure. So let's see what the fuck you did to Tiffany.
Only 6% of US retail businesses have a Black owner. That needs to change. So I did something. I created a Black Business Accelerator at Amazon. And now we have a program that's dedicated to making tomorrow a better day for Black businesses.
This is really good quality.
I am Tiffany, and this is just the beginning.
Okay.
Right.
So what do you think's wrong with that? I mean, I think everything's wrong with that. It is the woke CIA agenda version of economics, where it's basically what a very light version of race theory. It's Black businesses, not a business or a good idea owned by a Black entrepreneur, but a Black business. It needs to be accelerated beyond other businesses that are better or could be better, should be able to compete. And she thinks that the amount of Black owned retail businesses should be categorized by the color of skin of the owner, which is exactly what the CIA has done. CIA and corporations have done, like, to hide, to get the left off of their case on, whether you're doing this wrong or doing that wrong. It's on the corporate side. It's really easy now. Like, the big corporation that was the evil and now just goes, we're giving Black business owners a jump. You know what I mean? And now they're not the evil guy anymore, and nobody points out all the evil shit they're doing anymore on the left. So that's great. And then the CIA loves it because it divides and conquers the population so they can grab more power. It's the same move they've been doing for a while now. But there it is in your Amazon commercial. Who has a giant government contract? Who is one of these corporations that loves to get the left off its back?
Yeah. Do you see this as hush money?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's hush money it's hush money from Amazon, and it's also catering to, like, they could have gone different ways to try to do it, but like, the CIA wants this done and this also works for them. So like, it's mutually beneficial. So like, and they have a giant government contract and they're doing this. If they weren't doing this kind of thing on their commercials and spreading this propaganda, they wouldn't have that intelligence agency contract. They didn't give it to a company who goes, no, we're not going to do we're not going to spread messages. and like social stuff. We're a company that sells shit. That's all we're doing. They didn't give the contract to them. They gave it to Amazon, who is huge and is doing exactly what they're told to do by their biggest customer. And it's mutually beneficial. So it's not going to be hard to get them to do it.
I'm going to go ahead and say, though, that just to go ahead and get ahead of the criticism, it's entirely possible that this could exist without being pushed by the CIA, right? Like this is an acceptable stance in today's market.
Yes, but it is only that way because of the CIA, but
Certainly.
because of the government and corporate mergers that we've gotten to the point that's an acceptable thought.
Right.
So,
I think what I'm trying to get at is that for someone who says, "Oh, well, this was someone who, had the idea on their own and implemented it within the business on their own and ran the campaign, and the folks who did the creative on this," the thought would be, "Oh, well, this was in no way influenced by the state." I think it's important to make that distinction, that it's not that they had it's not that they had creative oversight over this particular project. It's that
right.
this is a symptom of a narrative that has been perpetuated by them. So these folks might be in earnest trying to do some sort of positive thing, but they're in turn
Right. And there was going to be funding for somebody's project. There was let's say there's 10 different projects that are, these people have developed, these software developers. They picked one. Like, she didn't work for the CIA or she wasn't directed by the CIA to build this, most likely, because it has been ingrained in her since she was in grade school to become this person, so that when there is 10 projects available, the CIA knows and the government knows that one of these people is indoctrinated enough to do something, that we can pick that one. We're going to go with that one because it's exactly what we're looking for. There's a reason why that got picked, and that's on a commercial.
Well, there's the useful idiot piece that I admittedly don't love the actual language. I don't love calling well-meaning people idiots, even if they are being useful idiots. But the idea that this is not something that's influenced by the state directly, as opposed to being something that is just a subsequent result of a lot of state-led influence, sort of conditions people to behave a certain way, so that by the time they are doing something, they believe that they're doing it on their own volition, as opposed to having been led that way over days, months, years even, right? The idea that you've been conditioned to believe a certain way, you've been conditioned to interact with culture and society in a certain way, you've been conditioned to work a certain way, have a certain viewpoint. And
let's not forget that the company that is funding this commercial, that is put the money down on her accelerator, is an employee of the CIA, of the intelligence agency. They are paid to do something for a lot by the intelligence agency.
Right. It's the soldiers, right? Like, just because if a president insults another president's wife and they go to war for something else, some sort of religion or oil or whatever you want to tell the people it's about, the soldiers in the field aren't there because a president insulted another president's wife. They're there because they believe that they're, fighting for their country or freedom or whatever it is, right? And Tiffany here is very much a soldier. I mean, it's entirely possible that she is, some, but in all likelihood, she is truly an individual who believes that she's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm so far beyond Tiffany. I think that there's so many people out there that they have to pick from with ideas that they can pick the ones that fit the narrative that they need. Right.
She doesn't know that she was given a job and her video and her project was selected by people who were also influenced in a similar way, who were in turn influenced in a similar way, who were bought into by folks who maybe that's where
right.
I
how
really
many projects are pushed up the line at Amazon to the big dogs, right? Who know what's going on, know where their money's coming from. And they say, yeah, we're going with that one. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like she made it all the way, like through her merits and the people who were also, influenced through propaganda all the way up to this point. And those other people, they realized that, like, oh, if I send something up the ladder that says this, it doesn't get picked. But if I send something up the ladder that says this, it does get picked, and then I get a raise. So like even if they don't believe it, they realize, like, oh, at this company, this is what they want. So I'm going to give it to them. I'm paid to. Right.
well,
and then the Amazon does the same thing. They go, and the fact that it fits their agenda too is an extra bonus on that. But they go, our biggest client is the intelligence agency. So like, let's make sure whatever we push forward that we want to push forward is something that they're okay with us pushing forward. We don't want to step on their toes. Right? That's what you do as a business with your customers.
Well, in your conditioning, right? It's Pavlovian. It's not even that you're directing people to do things. It's that because let's say Tiffany reports into the director of R&D, who then reports into the director of, or the VP of new business, or whatever, go all the way up the chain. Even if you get 3, 4, 5 links up and they still don't realize that they're part of a larger agenda, they don't have to be, because they're conditioned by knowing, okay, well, this is what my boss likes. That's what I keep giving my boss. And we talk about how trickle down economics or whatever doesn't work. The priming and conditioning of leadership is real, though. The sense that from the very top all the way down, people will follow. Whatever your vision is, whatever your directive is.
Because there's an incentive structure to please the person above you.
Right.
And the person above you and the person above you. And then when it gets all the way to the CIA, like now the bottom person was pleasing the CIA because they got all the way there. Right.
That's why it's such an immature idea to think that a massive conspiracy is, it's immature to think that it's a ludicrous idea, because they're like, oh, well, so many people would have to be covering this up. And it's like, well, no, it's not that so many people would have to be covering it up. It's just a few people could cover it up, and then everybody else is just doing their job.
It's just marketing. I mean, the more as a a general manager, learning sales techniques and sales tactics, like already being an Austrian economic, person in that, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly like, because I'm not a salesperson, I wasn't able to really figure out how they were I knew when they were manipulating and all that, but I didn't know like the tactic they were using. But after learning sales, I was like, wow, it's marketing. The CIA must have a huge sales marketing budget to learn all these techniques and whatnot, because they do it well and they teach it well.
Well, they're also benefiting from the free market, right?
Well, they're in with the corporation, like the big corporations who do it too. It's all the same thing. Like the giant corporation up top that's bigger than everybody else, they're now they're part of, that's why they have a contract with the CIA, right? Now you're in, you're part of it now. So in turn, Amazon becomes the CIA. And now we're all working together. Like, you'll stay on top as long as you do this, and I'll keep being able to do this as long as you stay on top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all these people at the bottom who have accepted the propaganda that's come before are making things that, a lot of the things they make are useful to these people. And when it's useful enough, they go, hey, let's come over here. I'll wine and dine you. You're doing good for the world, just like I told you were. You're fighting the man by making a black business thing. You know what I mean? Like, she thinks like she's rebelling. That's what we were talking about on that other episode. This is like rebelling and then succeeding and making it to something big at a big corporation. It was so good that I made it. They couldn't deny it.
All right. So
here's my favorite soft drink company.
I'm not sure.
Everybody
Alexa.
knows how much I like Coke, and the fact that they don't think that black people are smart enough to get IDs.
yeah. So this one being Coca-Cola, the great meal is hashtag together tastes better. So let's give this one a whirl.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. Lost together, we discovered ourselves again. And we realized that the things that matter deserve time. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates. Because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there. And they never tasted this good.
So let's just talk first of all about how long that was. Holy cow. That was, well, it says it's a minute and a half, but Man, that was a long ad.
Yeah.
Did that feel long to you?
I watched that ad over and over and over again at my house. And to the point that um I ripped the mount of my TV off the wall and had to patch the drywall over that ad.
What?
I had enough of it. My wife and I, the COVID thing was hitting. The 2 weeks were up, and that ad started playing, and it played constantly. And me, knowing the communist propaganda and things like that, I was like, wow, this is bad. This is like they're propagandizing us to accept something. This is a Rambo 3 here. And it just kept on and kept on and kept on. And my wife was trying to talk to me, and the ad came on, and I was trying to listen to them, but this ad just was like nails on a chalkboard to me. It's in the background, and I turned around, and my TV was mounted to the wall, and it wasn't one of the ones that telescopes out. It was one of the mounts that's like hard to the wall, and the plug's behind there. And I couldn't find the remote, so I'm trying to just unplug the TV, really mad. And I couldn't get it to release, so I could get back there and unplug it. And I just grabbed the sides of the TV and I ripped it off, like ripped the anchors out of the wall. It took a whole big chunk of sheetrock off the wall and just threw the TV down. And just now, what were you guys trying to say?
Now that that's quieted down, what were you saying, dear?
Right. So I imagine you saw the togetherness, the propaganda where they try to say this isn't really a bad thing that's happening to you. It's a good thing.
No, I've never seen this commercial before.
I know, but you know the techniques, I'm sure. Since you've seen it now, you've seen that.
Yeah, I get what it's trying to do. It's trying to do a bit of a silver lining, lean into the like, oh, well, you should be glad that you're all locked down because it actually forced you to have these positive interactions,
wonderful interactions, right? And who's there for you? Coke or whatever, right? But the day the earth stood still is the day we learned, how they say what's really important or whatever. But that's not the case at all. It's the opposite of that. And what it was trying to do was they had just locked down for 2 weeks, and already people were getting restless, right? At this time in the United States. For those of you listening outside of the United States, we were already getting restless. So a lot of places were already having people just not doing it. In fact, this guy right here, I was out and at work the very day that we were locked. Like, I never once missed a day. I went. Whether I was able to do anything or not, I went every single day. The only cool thing is I didn't have to stop at red lights anymore. It was great. Nobody else was out there. But so people were getting restless. They didn't like that. Coca-Cola comes out with this ad. It's like, It's like, hey, it's not bad. It's not bad to be locked down. What's really important is doing what you're told and, and just hoping your food lasts as long as you need it to, or your money does, or shut up and don't worry about that. Do what we tell you to. And it's all happy. It's all rainbows at the other end of that. So it didn't work here in the States, in the Southeast. Most places it didn't work in the United States. The only reason it seems like it did are big population hubs like New York, LA, places like that. This propaganda did work there. Even in downtown Atlanta, it's like it's weird that, like, I always thought when I moved downtown, I always thought that this was the rebellious side, but and I felt that way. Like, I was rebellious and I thought I was hanging out with other rebellious people. But as I got older, I realized that these people aren't rebellious at all. These people are hacks, man. They'll just do whatever they're told. And then COVID happened, and I'm like, well, I was proven right. These people are just as long as people think they're cool or whatever's hip, you know what I mean? They're fine with it. So Coca-Cola obviously has some significant either government influence or vice versa, influenced by government regulation, or a little bit of both, because they are on board with this new woke agenda. And I can see why, because, like, let's say government is influencing them. Not that long ago, you had like New York saying you could only have a tiny Coke, and like soft drinks were like the bad guy, and they were trying to like ban soft drink sales in New York City. It's a pretty big hit for Coke, right? So, big government says, hey, I need you to push this woke shit, right? And they're like, well, you gonna stop trying to making us the bad guy and trying to ban us in all the cities? And they said, yeah. So then Coke goes woke, and guess what? What do you not see anymore? I mean, how long has it been? About the same time this Coke goes woke, Coke is no longer the bad guy. Nobody's trying to ban soft drinks anymore. So there you go.
Which do you like better, Coke goes woke or Woca-Cola?
Or woke goes Coke, or
Pop goes the weasel?
woke does Coke?
Diet woke?
Coca-Cola.
We'll have to circle back to that one.
Coca-Cola.
So this one is a
obvious propaganda. It's not going to be hard to pick it out.
So this one's interesting. If you're just the visual on this one is interesting, because we're looking at this on YouTube, and Google has a get the latest information from the CDC COVID-19 vaccine like flag where I can learn more.
Oh yeah,
because this is a Samuel Adams. It's their YouTube channel, but Google has put a flag on here for the vaccine. So let's see what Samuel Adams has to say about the COVID-19 vaccine.
I hope this doesn't take too long. I'm double parked.
Next.
Oh, it's an arm one? Your cousin. From Boston. We're back, baby! Sam's on me! Indoor beers! Indoor beers! Did I get the shot?
Nope. You saw the needle and passed out cold. Here you go. Continue to wear a mask.
Huh.
Next.
Good luck, guys. It's a breeze.
That one was at least short.
So what about that? I mean, there was all the COVID shit was in there.
Yeah, she did drop the like keep wearing your mask bit.
Yeah.
Which seemed very robotic. But it's more just because they're trying to put in all the safety guidelines that you can't really make sexy.
Yeah. I mean, what about like it's Sam Adams? The guy Sam Adams would have been rolling over. Let's get beyond that and let's go with what the fuck, man? Like obviously there's something there. Either you're trying to just jump on the bandwagon and just be like us too, or
that's what I don't want to give too much attention to this, because honestly, it's not even that good. It seemed a bit forced and kind of ham-fisted. Like they're trying to do. I'm guessing this Your Cousin from Boston campaign might be like a recurring theme.
yeah, it's pretty good. Or it was. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't even watch the dude anymore. Now that one came out,
is it
without
the
getting
same?
pissed off?
Is
Like
it the same guy?
Yeah, it's like it's always the same dude, and they were pretty funny. And then, but he was always like, "Oh, against the grain," and then like they did this, and I was like, "Oh, this is so weak." And then it just pissed me off more and more. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, as a beer drinker, there's some Sam Adams beers that I used to enjoy, but like Coke, I won't be drinking it anymore.
No,
But I think that Sam Adams is more of like, me too, guys. Don't leave, we're big too. We're like Budweiser and stuff too. I think it was more that than and probably, a few guys high up felt that way. You know what I mean?
and I'm also not the target demo here because I don't have the context of knowing that this is a person that I'm supposed to recognize.
Yeah.
So I don't recognize Your Cousin from Boston as like a character. So to see the very like specific, because if this is like a recurring theme, a recurring ad, and this is the like COVID-19 vaccine edition of the ad, like it just doesn't track with me. So I probably have more I probably have more qualms with the ad quality and consistency than I actually do with its sort of propaganda. So
Well, the propaganda is so generic that I don't think it was. I doubt anybody at Sam Adams is like big enough to be CIA kind of material, right? But because what was in the ad was so generically what everybody, every everyday guy thinks, there was no like conditioning you for the next thing, in this ad.
right.
It was more of like, do this right now. But it was so fucking bending over and taking it that yeah, I don't have any respect for that anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm not drinking that. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at with that one.
Yeah, it seems like they were just ticking the boxes on that one. So Big Pizza is this one, the Little Caesars commercial. Let's see what they got to say.
The outlook for overpriced pizza has never been better. Who's gonna stop us?
Sir, Little Caesars has the lowest price pizza delivered, guaranteed.
We're not Big Pizza, we're Little Caesars. Get $5 off your first delivery.
Pizza, pizza.
All right. So, in your woke belief system, right? You look at all these commercials. These commercials can't have two people together that are white. It's got to be homosexuals, brown, black, maybe one white person. But if you show the board of a corporation, the big oil, big pizza, who they're supposedly making fun of, big tobacco. Did you see that? It was all old white dudes, one white woman.
I'm just gonna rewind and take a look here. So yeah, just a bunch of old. Oh, and there's a robot butler.
Yes, there's a robot butler.
So the woman who's there is sort of an older white woman stroking a cat menacingly.
Yes, like Dr. Claw.
Your favorite villain.
Right.
This guy looks like he's either tanned or darker.
He might be black.
But yeah, it's very much I think your point stands though. This stands in pretty stark contrast to, let's say, the Coca-Cola ad.
Right. So it's a very generic version of who the ruling class is. And it's a very kind of almost like an old school back, like during the Occupy Wall Street version of the ruling class, don't you think? And I think that this is done by them as a joke because it has been because of the propaganda that came before it. I don't think that necessarily this itself is propaganda. It's just perpetuating the old propaganda.
Right. Unintentionally calling back the fact that this has been the propaganda for so long that they just assume that this will resonate with everyone in that same way.
And we all picked up on it right away. Exactly what they were going for. Like it was so easy because the propaganda was so strong before. So that's where we're at. I thought we should do a lighthearted one like that too.
I love it. Let's flip over to what appears to be a more active participant in the game with Clorox Safer Today Alliance.
That's right.
What a mouthful of Clorox.
Drink and drain.
Wow. So that was just a bunch of logos on screen with a lot of product placement. So
people wiping stuff. So the first thing I'd like to address is before this ad came out, the CDC had admitted that COVID-19 is not spread by touching objects. It is only spread through aerosols. So it dies on objects exposed to oxygen. It does not stay on a doorknob.
Yeah, but
for
if
any
I'm
significant
Clorox,
amount of time.
if I'm Clorox and I make my money by selling Clorox wipes, and the CDC has no problem with me making this commercial with, which features Uber, United Airlines, Enterprise Rental Car, and AMC Theaters.
Right.
I have to imagine this wasn't something like hacked together over a weekend. So they were probably operating on very old information with the idea that like it could be spread on surfaces, and they just ran with it. And yeah, you know, the CDC or whoever, by the time this got to market, had realized that it wasn't spreading that way, but they weren't going to like pull this. There was too much at stake.
Yeah, I mean they've already swapped money between taxpayers and private businesses and back and forth and whatnot and what have you, and they've been preaching this to us to wipe down our groceries and making us do weird shit in our houses and not let people, more than one person, go into pee in our bathroom during Thanksgiving at a time in certain places.
Wait,
so yeah, they're not going to.
What was the Thanksgiving thing?
You didn't all the rules there in California for Thanksgiving. If you're going to have people over, you had to have it outside. Only so many people per square foot. Only one person was allowed in your home at a time, except for the family that lives in that home. So one extra person.
Yeah,
there was a bunch of weird
that
rules
just
that he
seems
gave
too
out.
complicated. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I can't deal with that.
But yeah, that's where Clorox was. Of course, they're happy to put that out. Well, the CDC throws their emblem right on it. No disclaimer. Just perpetuating that false information out to people. And now people are like looking at you and don't want to touch you. And even if you had COVID, they're not going to get it from touching you. They're going to get it from breathing the same air that you're breathing out. And that fucking piece of shit mask ain't going to change it.
So the CDC Foundation, if we go to Clorox's website here for the Safer Today Alliance, their kind of hero image has this block of text that says, "We've teamed up with Cleveland Clinic and CDC Foundation to help the world's businesses create healthier public spaces now and into the future." So here's what I find interesting is the bait and switch here, because what is clear to me is that there's a very key phrase here, because the claim could be that, oh, well, we're not claiming that Clorox wipes need to be used for everything to prevent COVID. We're just saying that it's about being cleaner.
It kills COVID, but so does smooth surfaces. So like,
well, but this block of text here is what I think is really important. So it says, formed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, The Clorox Safer Today Alliance is a coalition of leaders in health and wellness dedicated to your enhanced safety.
Or dedicated to selling the products that we have.
So I think it's worth noting the bait and switch here, right? So the ad where they basically just put peppy music to a bunch of different logos was not in any way claiming that Clorox wipes will, prevent the spread of COVID or, make you safer from COVID or anything like that. But they have a bunch of people in masks. They have people in empty theaters wiping them down. And
the image implies
all of that, but it's more just them saying, oh, well, we're going to have, a safer, cleaner atmosphere within these businesses. But they've done this obviously on the premise of this being somehow effective for the virus, which we still know not nearly enough about, but we do know this is not how you prevent it from spreading. Mm-hmm. So it just seems intellectually dishonest to bring folks in and even have the language of saying formed as a response to, or what's the language here again? Formed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's disingenuous, I'd say.
Yeah.
So,
but it's, it's linked to Bill Gates and the CDC. It's, it is a way of spreading the propaganda without saying it. So they can always, when it's disputed, they can always say, well, we didn't say it kills COVID.
It's a trap. There's no comfort.